Hello, Aquarius. This is your astrological and card forecast for the week of October 10th, starting Monday, October 10th, 2016. And of course, this applies to Aquarius Moon and Aquarius Rising individuals as well. Just wanted to clear something up. There was a little bit of some, kind of what's going on happening after last week's horoscopes, because I did not mention Mercury going into Libra, which happened on Friday. And the reason was deliberate, though I can understand why some people might not have got that. I left it out because I already brought it up in the monthly horoscopes for October, and that's really more of a seasonal trend. It's definitely a long-term energy. It goes on for a few weeks. So usually for these astrology horoscopes for weeklies, unless it's like a full moon or a retrograde or, something kind of big that does need reiteration, I'm probably going to be focusing again on the day-to-day aspects and angles. And, if you do want to know what's going on seasonally, go to the monthly horoscopes. Those are on the main channel page. There's a playlist with all of them. So let's get started here with your astrology, Aquarius. What is going on with your horoscope? Well, we do have Mercury in your 9th house of higher spiritual learning, higher psychology, your academic life, your legal and travel sectors, and what's going on with all of those. And, with Mercury there, we're kind of speeding things along when it comes to these developments. A lot of Aquarius people are in a wonderful position to start taking a spiritual path more seriously, getting more educated, getting more adept in their spiritual workings. If that's what you are, resonating with at this point in time, you're also going to notice that Mercury is also speeding up procedure and process when it comes to career, especially if it does revolve around your academic life, your education, your higher education, especially college or university. A lot of you are probably going to be spending a lot of time kind of refreshing your training. And if you have any legal situations going on, or government situations, or travel opportunities that you're trying to really work out, this is definitely a time where you're going to see, again, ironing out those wrinkles is going to get done a lot faster. Things are going to get set in stone a lot faster in a much better way over the next few weeks. And this week is especially important, I think, because with Mercury in Libra, this week on Tuesday, it's going to be conjunct, as in right in contact, right behind Jupiter in the same area of your chart. This could be great news, especially for those of you who are looking to get permits, licenses, visas, and any kind of travel opportunities where you are kind of working out these deals so you can expand on what you are doing. If you are trying to get a job in an education or government field or in a legal field, this is also an excellent week for a lot of you. And this Jupiter energy is also asking for you to expand your horizons. Get rid of your comfort zone to a degree. Find out where we may have either been too sheltered or are still sheltering ourselves too much from the wider world. And that's a huge theme that's going to be going on for the Aquarian people within and without, the entire, this whole October, because even after all the other planets leave Libra, we've still got Jupiter there all the way up until next year. We've also got on Thursday a bit of a clash when we talk about bubbles, when we talk about comfort zones between Jupiter in that 9th house and Mars in your 12th house. And, not Jupiter, excuse me, Mercury in that 9th house and Mars in your 12th house. And whenever you have Mercury and Mars clash, there's always, I guess you could say, an issue with too much information. It's a TMI kind of moment where too much is getting shared for people to be comfortable. It can cause conflict, it can cause misunderstandings, all of that kind of stuff. However, what makes this unique to you, as in just Aquarian people, not the rest of the zodiac, the rest of the zodiac is being told, like, shut your pie hole, like zip it please. But a lot of you Aquarian people, it's kind of reversed. It's really more about pay attention to where, when you are being more authentic, when you are sharing your true beliefs and things like that, your true assessment, your true observations, where it is making other people uncomfortable, but why that's not really a problem, if that makes sense. Now, there's a difference between sharing your truth and blurting out an opinion. Blurting out an opinion is not a truth. A truth is sort of like, I believe, this is what I've experienced, this is what I have, this whole context with. An opinion is kind of like, well, I think this. That's not a truth. I don't know what that is. beyond opinion. That's not what I'm talking about. This is talking about sharing your true self, sharing a true side of yourself that you may be kind of sheltering other people from. A lot of Aquarian people this month are going to be dealing with, when do I shelter myself or shelter others too much? And so even though it might sound like too much information, and you might think, no, I can't share it all, this is more like, no, it's too much information for somebody who's not prepared when they should have been prepared for all this information. So what is going on this week with your cards, Aquarius? Well, for your spiritual advice, we do have the card of bliss, which is very interesting because we have a very troubled or challenged kind of week, it seems, astrologically. So why would we get the card of bliss? Well, I like this card because this is, I guess you could say, talking about you being protected. Even if the rest of the cards I turn over are crap, this is kind of saying, look, what you are paying attention to at this point in time with your bliss is getting things off your chest and unburdening yourself, and realizing that you actually are going to be always on the sidelines this week. You are always going to be, this isn't personal, things are not being directed at you. Things are happening in front of you, but they're not happening to or at you, not even for you. And with the bliss card, it's basically saying this is the week where, if you want to have a break, take the break, if you've earned it. This is also a great time to pay attention with the bliss card to get closer to people, even if they might be in some turmoil. You don't have to appropriate it. For your Earth sector, when it comes to your work and finances, we do have the Five of Cups upright. So there may be some troubling news going on at the office or at the workspace when there is word of a loss to the company, or maybe even a loss at your business. And this could come in a lot of different ways. Usually with the Five of Cups, we are seeing a person depart. If you own your own business, it may be stressful to find out one of your employees is putting in his or her 2 weeks or his or her month notice. You may find out even a work colleague or a work friend is deciding to, move on in their own way. Whether they're moving on to greener pastures or not, I'm not necessarily sure. The Five of Cups, however, does say that, we actually have a loss that is creating a bit of a void at the office this week. Financially, I want you to pay attention to where we might be thinking about trying to fix too many problems with money, because this can also talk about how we handle our personal affairs. The Five of Cups in a financial area can sometimes make it sound like a good idea is to patch things up or to make things better by updating, and material goods and gifts and things like that. I would be careful about that. You don't necessarily have to lose any money this week, so don't be tempted to invest it where we could be putting emotional currency instead. For your communications with air, we do have the Two of Swords inverted. This card is actually a really nice card to get inverted because this does indicate commitment and loyalty being offered to you or being shared or given to you. And this might be something where this couldn't come at a better time. This may come from a friend or from a relative that you probably didn't know exactly where you stood with. Maybe there's some things going on where you just kind of feel like you're not really sure who I can lean on. Or maybe this is a situation where you kind of felt there was a bit of a drift, even again when it comes to contacts that are not that close. They could be professional contacts. They just be part of your network. And you find out with the Two of Swords inverted, people are willing to make sacrifices for you. People are really actually working hard to keep you around and keep you happy. And with the Two of Swords inverted, it looks to me like somebody is going to make some kind of grand testament to show how much you are worth to them. Your challenge this week with fire is the Four of Cups inverted. And again, following the huge theme with the astrology. It's talking about breaking yourself out of your bubble and your comfort zone, because the Four of Cups inverted is all about getting out of a rut, getting out of repetitive thinking, and getting out of old stagnant beliefs, things that might be holding us back, things that, if we feel like, oh, I'm never going to meet anyone, and then it's kind of like, well, it's like if I said that. I mean, here's the thing. I get a D when it comes to dating effort, because it's like if I went to somebody and said, like, how am I supposed to meet somebody? Oh, I want to find, it's like, Nico, you don't go out, you don't talk to anyone, most of your friends or your family, you've got your friends and your family members who live just down the road, and you don't really you don't go any further than that. So it's kind of like, why am I bothering to ask when? So the Four of Cups reversed for me would be like, do something you're not doing right now. And you got to find out where that message is for you this week. Aquarius, because there is some kind of repeat pattern, something that's kind of like holding it back a little, holding it down, that might actually just be by default. It might not even be conscious. And breaking that pattern, breaking that habit may seem a bit alien, but it's necessary. For your emotions with water in your romantic life, we do have the Three of Pentacles inverted. And this is probably, okay, so this would be the negative reversed card here. All right, I'll just come out and say it. And with the Three of Pentacles inverted, this is talking about a need to pay attention where in relationships, teamwork may be breaking down. Because sometimes when we have the Three of Pentacles reversed, there could be issues with a crush or a partner, maybe all of us in the relationship. This could be a family situation as well with your kids, or, you know, maybe even anyone else that you share all this space with your partner with, where people are trying way too hard to kind of have their way, others' way be damned, king of the mountain, queen of the mountain, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, when do we stop working on a team? You know, when did things become a bit too individualistic? When did things become a bit too Darwinian? When did we start becoming rivals with our partner? You know, in a way that's not necessarily edifying. And I think that with the Three of Pentacles inverted this week, it's definitely a time to be paying attention to where that butting of heads is talking about who's not working on a team, you know, and who's not willing to work on a team. Because some people, you know, I don't know, I'm not judging anyone, you know, if your partner's having a hard time, sometimes it's hard to work on a team when you're having a hard time. But this is definitely a week where that needs to be addressed, you know. And my advice to you, Aquarius, again, you've got the Bliss card, you are 100% safe this week. Sometimes you just need to start calling people out. And call it out in a good way, in a classy way, not a bitchy way. Okay, so that's your forecast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. You know I appreciate it. And of course, if you'd like to get a session, you can always follow the links below or go to integrativemysticism.com.